What's going on, guys? It is not 7:30. It's actually 5 o'clock on the West Coast over here. On the East Coast, it's a lot later. It's 8 o'clock. So we're a little off on our time like normal, but it is a special night. We've got two great guests. One of the guys I met in person on May the 4th at Golden Apple, which was a lot of fun to listen to him talk about everything. And he was loud. I'm just going to say now. So if you guys be prepared if you have to go like this, like, oh, crap. But he was a great guy. It was a lot of fun watching him do his thing. And also we have his co-host for their show, which is, you know what? I'm not going to spoil it too much, but they're two great guys. So before we bring them in, of course, we want to start off by talking about all the places that you guys can find. So let me get that banner up so you guys can see it. Scroll across that bottom and covers up my belly because we don't want to see that. But the Geek Saga. So everything you want to find out about us is TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Foot Finder, OnlyFans someday. We just might. I'm getting to that point. I'm telling you. Times are getting tough. Might have to kind of like, but it's not there yet. So you can find us at The Geek Saga across all those social medias. And also, if you guys want to like DM us about an event that you're having, or you've got a new store that's opening up, you want us to come out and do a little live from there, hit us up on either Instagram, which I'm always checking. I'm always checking the DMs looking for whatever's coming up or whoever may be saying hi. Or you could actually email us at thegeeksaga77@gmail.com. So that's all where you can find us. It's going to be going through the whole show. You'll be seeing it all night long, so you don't forget where to find us. But on top of that, we want to shout out a couple of our affiliates. As always, let's start off with Ulanzi. So the lights that are giving me this like really cool glow, because I'm glowing. Those are Ulanzi lights. The lights you can't see, but are giving me this other, so I'm not looking too weird. That's all Ulanzi. Ulanzi behind me. Ulanzi is got a lot of products. Ulanzi handles not only lights, but they have camera rigs, which if I had my camera, I'd show you guys. But the cage around it, that's the Ulanzi cage. Tripods, you name it. They continue to come out with new products, and they're great products. They're affiliate of ours. Check out their website, and check out the affiliate code that is on our Instagram in our link tree. Click on that. You buy from them, it helps us out, and obviously it's going to help them out. So go to ulanzi.com. Also, we've got the Roosevelts. So these are amazing shirts, and one of our guests, I did see a picture, and I actually put his picture up of him on our Instagram, but wearing one of these great shirts. Great button-up shirts. They stretch if you need it, but they stretch and they have a good feel. Got a lot of great designs on them. A lot of great IPs like Disney, Marvel, Universal, Monsters, and their movies too. A lot of great. These guys look great in them, so you might look great in them too. Button-up shirts. They now got T-shirts, and they're X-Men 97 shirts, which I got to get. We had just mentioned X-Men 97 at the beginning of the show. Yeah, they've got shirts. And who knows? Maybe we might be making our own shirts. But we also got Wild Bill old-fashioned craft soda, which I love these guys. Every event that I've gone to, as far as like the larger cons, they're always there. You'll find them they look like chuck wagons, and they've got barrels on the side. They've got great drinks. You pull on that lever and you get Dr. Bill's. Supposedly just as good as Dr. Pepper, but you can't beat the nectar of the gods. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet, but I will try it. But go check them out. The great thing about this company and why we love them even more, not that we don't like our other affiliates, but why we love these guys a lot is because veteran owned, veteran operated, and they've now started to hire veteran family members to work in their shops, doing all the distribution and all that stuff. So they're really bringing in home and bringing in the veterans and their families to be part of this company. Great company. Love them. Check them out. Awesome. Look, you get a cup like this at an event. This one I got from WonderCon. Actually, I bought this one, but they also gave us one, which was awesome of them. And you take it to an event, $7. You can fill it up all day long. And they're actually really cool cups. I got their cups everywhere. I'm just, I'm leaving them around. Look at this. I got another one right here. But check them out, guys. We love them. We'll support them. And finally, with our last one, which is Renegade Game Studio. Again, another check out their link in our affiliate codes or our affiliate links in our bio. You know what I'm talking about. Check them out there. They've got a lot of great games, RPGs, deck building games. They've got great IPs such as G.I. Joe, Transformers, My Little Pony. I always go for My Little Pony before Power Rangers. I don't know why, but it just kind of flows now. So, but check out their games. They've got a lot of cool stuff. They not only do they have these ones like Transformers and the ones, but they have their own like RPGs that have a whole new thing. They run off of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. So if you play that, you know the rules. It's really easy to flow into that. So there you go. For that, for things that I don't have any banners up just yet, would be We Can Be Heroes comics out in Chatsworth. Go check them out, guys. It's where I get all my comic books. I got stuff laying around everywhere now, and it's because it's their fault. But I picked up a bunch of really cool comics from them, some old, some new. Check out their comic book store. It's in Chatsworth. They always have these great live things going on Instagram. For like today was New Book Wednesday. Tonight's going to be two guys in one box, comic box. Get your head out of the gutter, guys. But and they sell comics online too, so it's a great place to go. Also, go to Golden Apple. They're closer to me, and I love those guys too. I go to both comic stores. Sometimes I don't get everything I want at We Can Be Heroes, so I go to Golden Apple. Check out Golden Apple on Melrose. Check their stuff out. Also, Project Wish Upon a Star is a charity that we are huge supporters of. Check them out, and I have a banner so you guys can cover up my face for a minute, and you guys can see this. But bam, look at that. Donate today to Project Wish Upon a Star. They're a great charity, guys. Darren, Veronica, we love you guys. We love everything that you guys do. They are a pediatric cancer patient charity. They help bring the con experience to the kids or bring the kids to the con. But we want to help them out. We want to donate today. They will be out at OmegaCon this weekend out in Fresno. So will one of us. Unfortunately, not both of us. We were hoping that we can get out there, but David will be walking around out there checking it out. But they will be out at OmegaCon in Fresno. Stop by their booth. Say hi, tell them we sent you. They'll say thank you. Not much else. But donate, help them out. They do so much with their own cash, and they're so generous with everything that they do. So make sure you guys help them out. Also, we want to throw a shout out to a new group that we just talked to today, Infinite Abilities. They're a new comic book store that's online, and they're hoping soon to get a brick and mortar store going. But it's a place where they help. I don't want to. What's the politically correct way to say it? Desiree, I'm sorry, but special needs, special abilities, one of those things. But they employ those types of folks in their store, and they wanted to keep that going and get more things going and get events going. So check them out. They're online, infiniteabilities.com. Great place. So enough of that. I hit everything I wanted to talk about in 9 minutes. I'm so proud of myself. 9 and some change. But it is time. I don't know. Wait. Oh, there he is. I loaded up way too much, and now I have I shifted Ray down. So I'm sorry, Ray. Didn't mean. There you are. Now I can find you. All right, guys. So without further ado, we want to bring in our guests, and we want to do it in Geek Saga fashion. So, Mr. Robinson, who do we got today?
Who could that be? Let's see. This is how you answer a door in
Geek Saga.
Who is it? Come on!
That's how we say hello normally. Who is it?
That's East Coast. Yeah, that's East Coast. Absolutely.
That was just a day in the life for me. I don't know what's going on out there in Los Angeles.
I'm so glad that I can make you feel right at home right away on this show with that. But I always love seeing everyone's reaction to that, because most people are like, actually a lot of it we've had, they're like, where's that from?
Oh, gosh.
How do you not know where that's from? Freaking Eddie Murphy, Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live, yeah.
I'm like, all right, whatever.
Classic.
It is. I'm thinking of maybe doing the hot tubs one from Saturday Night Live. Also, that might be the next one to introduce people.
That was brilliant what you did there.
But guys, how's it going? How are you guys doing?
It's good, good. Thanks, Eugene, for having us. I'm going to try and not be too loud. I don't want to, again, I worry. I don't want to really, cause people to blow out their eardrums just yet. We're just getting
started. I'm turning
started.
down my microphone volume. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I'll push the microphone away from me, so this way maybe we'll make the volume a little bit more tolerable. But hey, what's up? How's that going? I'm Ray. That's Lee, and we're doing great. Eugene, thank you so much for having us on the show. Thank you.
You know what? So I was listening to your episode right after May the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great episode. I loved it. But I was in the car and I had my volume up and I'm like, man, Lee's kind of low. So I was turning it up and then all of a sudden you came in. I was like, holy crap. Okay.
That's how we keep you on your toes with the show. You got to be listening because you never know when Ray might destroy your car stereo.
A Ray rant is always right around the corner, whether it's Star Wars, the New York Giants, whether it's Batman or the Yankees. It doesn't matter. It's right there.
We should note that we're using the exact same equipment.
Yes.
There's no difference in the equipment, nothing. It's just that's the broadcasting lore.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for coming onto the show. I mean, you guys are so this show is great because it's, geeks who like sports.
Yes.
Which we all know that the stigma is that us geeks, we not typically play sports. We typically are just, most of the time they're like, oh, you guys are just in the closet, not the closet, sorry, in your mom's basement.
I was in the basement for a very long time. That is true. 100% very much spent a lot of my time in the basement.
That might be our origin point. I mean, when Ray and I met, a lot of the time was spent in his basement watching movies, playing video games, watching sports.
Yes.
And again, just from his mom's basement is where a lot of this started. Now, I should mention that was 20 years ago. We no longer live in our parents' basements.
No. No, I've moved up to the attic. Lee has a house. Lee has moved up, but I am in my own place as well. Yes, no.
Well, it's good to know, guys.
Listen, we've offered Ray a position to sit on our couch, the official couch potato position, to play the X-Men arcade machine in our offense. He hasn't taken us up on it yet. We keep raising the price for nothing, but we'll see if he bites eventually.
You know what?
I'm enjoying myself here in LA, so.
Which is great. I'm glad to hear that you like LA. I know you're a transplant from the East over to the West, and I'm sure and from what I heard in the last podcast, it was quite a shell shock coming over here and seeing what it's like over here.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, I've been here now for almost it'll be 13 years actually next week. And it's
happy bar mitzvah, by the way, Ray.
Mazel
tov. Hey, all right.
L'chaim, my friend.
June 1st of 2011, I came out here. I took a gig at Electronic Gaming Monthly, which was an old school gaming magazine. We used to get our video game news from magazines, everybody.
Yes.
And I wrote for them for 7 years, but that's what brought me out from the East Coast to the West Coast. It was kind of a dream gig, and I couldn't pass it up. And yeah, it was a bit of a culture shock. Everybody's out here is much more chill. Everybody's out here is much more relaxed and taking it easy. And I appreciate all the sunshine, except for when it starts the fire tornadoes in August. But like other than that, like I do appreciate that. But yeah, it's a very, very different speed than out east. And a lot of times I think I get told all the time I'm too intense out here on the West Coast. I'm too intense and they don't understand that there's no on off switch. It's just constantly, it's stuck on 11. And I wish I could slow down, but I can't. And I'm sorry. So.
Ray, that's why we've brought you here today. This is an intervention. We don't know how to tell you this, but that was the same problem you had on the East Coast. So it was just a lot more 11s out here. No, listen, my friend's being modest. When he was the reviews and a previews editor for EGM, his material was must read for gaming. He has dedicated his professional life to that platform, and I don't know anyone who loves gaming as much as Ray. So to be his friend throughout all of that, to know him for most of that, but his value in that industry is indispensable, and I'm just proud to know him. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's awesome, man. Look at that.
That's how you turn an 11 down to a 5, my friends.
Yeah, seriously,
but I meant every word.
I don't know what to say now. I'm flabbergasted.
And I'm here too.
Yeah, and by the way, again, like since Lee's fluffing me up, let me just say Lee is.
We don't need to do that. I meant every word that I said.
He's a championship-winning coach. Nobody knows more about hockey, and also, by the way, nobody knows probably more about Star Wars than Lee, and thus that's why. And also, by the way, I'm also a huge Yankee and Giants and Rangers fan, and thus that's the impetus of our show is that we are geeks, and we also happen to enjoy sports and have had success in both realms, actually. So,
what are you talking about Star Wars for, Bob? No, Logan, it's okay.
Yeah, we're actually going to be talking about Star Wars a little bit later, which is kind of really cool. But what I loved about it, again, it goes back to I am a huge geek, but through the years I've also played sports. I still love sports. And Ray, you hurt me not last episode, the episode before that I listened to, when you talked down about my Dodgers.
Oh
man.
Well, I look as a Yankee fan, Eugene. I can never root for the Dodgers. First off, never. Right? I'll go to Dodger Stadium. I will. Well, I was gonna say enjoy a Dodger dog, but let's be real, they're terrible. And
whoa, guys, that's a great show. We'll talk to you guys later.
I am sorry, but the dirty water dogs of New York trump Dodger dogs every day of the week, my friend. And I've had plenty of both. I have plenty of both over the years. I am sorry, but look, you've got a nice, quaint little baseball team there in Chavez Ravine. It's maybe one day you'll win a championship in a non-shortened season again. So,
I went to Dodge Stadium for Star Wars Day.
That is a good time. That is a good time. It
was awesome. I everything that they did was so cool, and I got the little, which I still didn't bring out here. The little, it was a Dodge Stadium with Millennium Falcon on top and lights up. It was a great giveaway.
That's cool.
But my wife asked, so when did the Dodgers last win the World Series? I was like, for real? 1988. She's all, well, that jacket says 2020. I said, no, not really.
Eugene, I give you so much respect, though, for understanding that, like, the 2020 COVID World Series kind of has a little bit of an asterisk next to it, right? 60-game season. And look, I mean, that's the thing. Typically, the Dodgers, one of the best regular season teams of the last 15 years. There's no denying that, no taking that away. You are the creme de la creme of the NL West, aside from those 3 years where the Giants won the World Series. But, like, you guys, in the regular season, nobody can trump you. I am not taking that away. But when it comes to playoff time, and it happened again last year, an 84-win Diamondback team, and you guys imploded again.
I know. That's just, it hurts every time. Every year, it's like, yes, they've got there. They're there. We're gonna do it. This is our year. We've got the hitters. We've got the pitchers. We've got a great coach. Yeah. No.
See, I would argue. I would argue you don't have a good coach. I would argue you don't have a good coach.
He's shown that he's a mediocre coach, but he's got the players that can actually do what they need to do.
Well, and that's the thing is I feel like the same way with my Yankees right now is that the team is performing despite the coach, not because of the coach or in tandem with the coach. I both hope that both our franchises fire our respective coaches soon. I hope Aaron Boone and Dave Roberts both hit the unemployment line as soon as possible. I think it's good for baseball. It's good for New York. It's good for LA. And then finally we can have the Yankee-Dodger World Series that we've all been waiting for in our lifetime.
That would be amazing. Yep. Let's do it. You know what? I'll just make a phone call today. Tell them, you know what?
Let's make it happen. And Lee, your Phillies can continue to rot in Philadelphia, and we don't have to worry about
Phillies are all right. I mean,
Eugene, I'll see you in the NLCS. Ray, when was the last time you guys won?
2009.
Yeah, 2009. Shut up, man. You guys are.
We beat you, but we beat you in 2009.
You beat us. It has been a long time since you've won a championship. I have no remorse for Los Angeles or New York as a Philadelphia fan. You guys can cry and moan all you want. You know nothing of pain in sports cities. Nothing. I don't like to hear it. I'm standing up for the other cities out there. Los Angeles, New York, you've had plenty. Stop complaining. Stop bitching. Oh, my manager, the team, what are we going to do? Let's go get Ohtani. Like any small market team could go do that. Quit crying. Enjoy your teams. Enjoy the dynasties, which are brilliant and shiny, and no one can touch them. And shut up, please. Or in other words, what the phonetic says.
Lee, I think you said Ohtani wrong.
I said Ohtani.
Otani.
Oh, Tony. Yeah, sorry. So Eugene, we have this tendency to give pro athletes Pokemon inflection on their names, and we've decided that Shohei's name is Otani, and you have to say it like that now the rest of the episode. Eugene, I would like you to take an attempt at this now. We'll grade it from 0 to 11. Go ahead.
Tony.
7. I'll give it to you. 7.
Oh,
That was solid.
7.
That was
Yeah.
solid. I'll give him. I think 7. 7's a decent number, Eugene. Hey, for your first time, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
I'll work on it.
Yeah.
I will, and I'll send you guys a sound bite and see if it gets better.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't done the coaches, but I imagine for Ray it would be Boone. Just
Well, that's how I sound. Like yesterday when Clay Holmes, or 2 days ago when Clay Holmes blew the save, and it was me going like, "Why are we pulling the closer? Why are we pulling him? Why are we pulling him? He's giving up all these runs." Boone.
Yeah,
I could totally see that happening with Ray and just the whole fire going on and straight going Super Saiyan. All right.
yeah. I also just want to say real quick while we're bashing each other that both of you talking about your respective baseball teams, the Yankees and Dodgers, who are both great teams, are not the best team in baseball right now. The best team in baseball is the Philadelphia Phillies that can rot in Philadelphia with our 9-0 Ranger Suarez and our bats hitting other things aside from home runs this season. Hot streak. I'll take. Is this what you guys feel like all the time? Is this what the late 90s were like for you, Ray? This is great. It's great. You just win all the time. If the Phillies go 500 the rest of the season, they will have a better record than last year. I don't ever remember feeling this as young. This is great. This is what it must be like to be on top all the time. Wow.
Yeah, but see, look at how long it's taken to be at that point.
That's not important right now. Yeah, as you know, right?
Don't the Phillies have the most losses in baseball history?
The losingest franchise in sports history. We have won that.
Okay, so Ray, how about let's give Lee this moment to just soak it all in. Just feel it.
Yes.
Do you feel it? We
Congrats, Lee. Congrats, Lee. On May the 22nd of 2024.
Right.
4 months before the playoffs even start. But
Beautiful.
in this moment,
the
Philadelphia Phillies are the best team in baseball.
It's a wonderful feeling. First off, I want to thank the Academy. Which I don't watch anymore, but that's not the point. Look, I'll tell you guys 2 things about Philadelphia. I'll take the applause. That's fine. 2 things about the Phillies and Philadelphia that Ray knows this well, but I want you guys to understand this. I want all your listeners to understand this. Nobody hates Philadelphia sports teams more than Philadelphia sports fans. Therefore, no venom you throw at me has any effect because I hate them more than you do. Okay. I also love them more than you do. All right. And the second thing is this city has experienced more pain than both of you combined. So there's just nothing. And I'm saying that with pride. And again, yes, Ray, losing his franchise in sports, we are the worst place team in history, something you'll never have. Okay.
That's right. We will
never have it. Don't come to me when you want it. You're never going to have that moniker.
I gladly bestow that upon you, Lee. Congratulations.
I can't wait till 100 years from now when we're doing Geeks. It's welcome to 2,124 with the Phillies and the 29 World Series championships.
With
the
our
best. I don't know why I have a transatlantic accent now.
I think I'm gonna have to make you a shirt, Lee, that says #1 worst.
First place worst team of all time.
All right.
Yeah.
Got it. I will work on that. I will design something. And,
no one likes us and we don't care.
Oh my gosh. So and for those of you guys that are tuning in on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere, you guys, this is what you hear when you listen to their show. And it's great.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
I truly love listening to you guys now. I'm like, I went back onto the older episodes and started listening too. So I was like, all right, I like this. This is great.
We appreciate that support. Yeah, we're everywhere. It's Geeks Who Like Sports or GWLS podcast on some of the socials. And obviously, but Geeks Who Like Sports, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts. You can check us out wherever and whenever. We're no longer on Google Podcasts because I think that's officially dead now. But everywhere else, where everything that's still alive in terms of podcasting, we are there. So
Eugene, I'll tell you, like when we started this, it was funny because you mentioned it earlier. Like Ray and I would have these long 1-hour conversations on the phone, 2-hour conversations. It would always be all this geek stuff and sports stuff. And I remember saying, like, we should do a podcast, right? And I remember he said, well, what should we call it? I was just Geeks Who Like Sports. I mean, because that's what it is, right? It's self-explanatory. But we took the bet and the bank on that there's other people out there like us that will talk about X-Men 97 for days and also hate on each other's sports teams for days, and we were right.
The way you just described what you guys do is what me and my co-host David did. That's why we have this podcast.
Brilliant.
12 hours of us stuck together.
Yeah.
12 hours. Okay. Love the guy. I really do. But we just start talking about this, and then we would rag on each other's teams because he is a Giants fan, and that's because he's a little guy, so he needs something that's big. But that we'd go back and forth, and we still go back and forth to this day. We were just yesterday, I saw him, and right away, I hadn't seen him all day, and he just popped off when I'm like, "What's up, guy? What's going on?" All right.
That's how it works, man. Brothers in arms. But I will tell you this: that you guys are in the same place. Ray moved 3,000 miles away from me, so
it's tough.
This is the only way we can communicate.
I mean, to be fair, like we also did. We were still in communication. Lee is my brother. Like Lee was in London. Well, England. In England, he was outside of London, but he was in England. And I was in. Yeah, he was across the pond. And I was
8-hour time difference.
We were an 8-hour time difference, and I'd be going to. It'd be like 1 a.m. my time. It'd be 9 a.m. his time, and we'd be like, okay, well, this is when we're gonna have our geek conversation.
I forgot about that. I would be waking up with your good night.
Right. And I'd be like, all right, good morning, Lee. He'd be like, good night, Ray. And then that would be it. I'd go to bed and his day would start. But that's how
I was in Tuesday and he was still in Monday. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But that's showing dedication, friendship. That friendship,
Yeah, that's what makes it work, my friend.
Yeah.
Like, it really, and it's endured for, it's over 20 years now. It's 20, 22, 23 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I shouldn't have said that out loud. That hurts.
For a brief moment, a very brief moment, he did not like me because we did not like each other because he was a year ahead of me in broadcasting school, and he came in wearing a Flyers jersey one day, and I came in wearing a Rangers jersey, and we kind of just looked at each other. And you went to talk to one of our professors, Dave Sanders, great guy, and I was trying to talk to him, and we kind of just. It was that weird, like, unspoken, like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, well, what are you doing here? And it was just like, it was probably the briefest moments. And then we were both like, would you like Star Wars? And we were like, it was like, and then everything was fine. So it was all going.
You like Star Wars broadcasting and sports? Yeah. It was a fun time.
We just become best friends.
It was like that. I'm amazed that I wore that Flyers jersey up there because we were in Devils territory. I think we actually bonded over our mutual hatred.
That's what it was. It was really our mutual hatred of the New Jersey Devils and their 5 fans.
We can agree on this.
Yeah.
So, Lee.
Yes, sir.
I was digging deep, not so deep, but I was digging deep into your background. So, tell our listeners what your background is because you got some pretty good story. Go for it.
I'm a dad of 2 kids and a husband. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. No, listen, I really am a father first to my son and daughter, Alina and Logan. They're 10 and 7, and my wife, Janet. I'm a devoted husband to her. That's first and foremost my priority, and then caretaker of Ray. But beyond that, I Ray's my best friend, obviously. But beyond that, I have a life in sports, and I'm really blessed that I get to wake up every day and typically do something in hockey or sports in general, whether it be my product company or doing team building, culture building with sports teams and business teams, or writing about it. So I've been very blessed to carve out a life where I really do get to do what I love almost all the time. Look, it was a hard journey. A lot of hard work went into it. And on top of it, I get to do things like this and broadcast. That's the other big part of it. I did go to school for it. Ray and I are one of the few people who actually have a degree that was useful nowadays. But yeah, that's my life, man, is really bringing people together and focusing on teamwork. And I want to say, buddy, that a lot of my tactics, a lot of my inspiration comes from the military. So I want to thank you. I know it's always an uncomfortable thing to do, but thank you for volunteering and your group is my anchor. When I wake up on hard days, and sometimes that's not always because of work, I think about what your group has to do in some pretty horrible places. And if you can do that, I can get out of bed today. That's kind of the thing that I always fall back on. So I want to thank you for volunteering, and I'm not trying to turn it back on you, but you guys are my inspiration, man. The men and women that serve.
If you were in the barracks with us at any time, you would not be saying that. You'd be like, oh my God, this is a bunch of just biggest morons, and the list can go on about us. And yeah,
Spoken like a true person. No, listen,
Here,
you can say that, but I mean what I said.
A lot of
Yeah.
places and a lot of companies
Yeah.
and a lot of stuff. So.
we're the special of the special. Let's just put it that way. We are truly the special.
You are special.
You are special.
I told you this before at a different branch, but I was around military. My wife served proudly in the Air Force for many years. Again, not the Army or the Marines or the Navy in any way, but they have their own place in the armed services. God bless them all. And I was on military bases for many years. And I had an affinity for everyone doing their job, and really the dedication to just the mission overall, whatever it was inspiring to me. I mean, whether it was families, kids, active duty, military personnel, the ability to serve towards a common goal together in a family environment. It's probably the safest I've ever felt in my life, living overseas on an American Air Force base. But yeah, listen, man, I'll go in the barracks with you anytime, because I know that Ray and I have the endurance to do a 12-hour conversation about whatever it is you were talking about. So sign us up. We will be, whatever I was the lowest rank in the military, which is male military spouse. But Ray,
that's interesting.
It's really low. Yeah, but I'll be a private in the Geek Army. We can do that. Yeah.
You
Ray's
know what?
Already a lieutenant, but that's okay.
If you ever come over here to the West Coast, both you guys, we should plan something to do an event at my base. It's not a huge base, but to do a live thing, I think you guys would have a lot of fun. Like we work with the U.S.
What base are you at? Can we say that in the air?
What was that?
What base are you at? Can we talk about that for a second?
Oh yeah, Camp Roberts. It's actually, we're in the middle of nowhere, up north, like Central California. It's a National Guard training facility,
right?
And so we get everybody that comes through is there just to train and do different. We've got ranges there. We've got other things that we get to play with there.
Yeah, I would love to do that. That's fine. Sign me up.
I'll drive up. I'm ready. I'm much closer.
I'm picking you up. I'm gonna come and get something for us to drive and relax. I'm gonna get the Geek bus, and we're gonna do what we've always talked. We've always wanted to do Geeks Across America.
Oh my God, that'd be awesome.
Where I kidnap Ray from Los Angeles, and we end up somewhere. Where are we? Nova Scotia.
We sort of did that when we went to Seattle for PAX. We did a live episode at PAX Prime a couple.
I want to do more of those. Actually, I was really considering flying out for the Golden Apple event on May the 4th. It would have been the third weekend I was away in a row for travel, and it was very hard to justify. But I love coming out west. I love hanging out with Ray, and it's just anytime I get to see him or hang out with some cool people is always fun. So it's also an escape from my number one priority, my children, which you do need from time to time.
Well, hey, LA Comic-Con, just
let's get a booth. I'm ready.
October of this year, we can
It's my favorite month. October's the greatest month of the year.
Yeah,
sports fan.
There
all
we
the
go.
fires will be settled down out here. It'll be nice. Things will
Let's not talk about the fires, because whenever those things heat up, we get called up to go and have to do something.
Oh no!
It's ridiculous. But enough of that stuff. We don't want to talk. We're not here to talk about that. No. So okay. So Ray, you did the magazine, and you mentioned you did something for ESPN.
Yeah. So I've been I've bounced around a lot. I actually got my career started in New York radio. At a place called 95.5 to the PLJ, which was a top 40 station at the time, but they were owned by Disney. And when Disney sold off all their terrestrial radio stations, they buy a little thing called Marvel, right? That's what really happened. If you look at Disney sold their terrestrial radio stations, everything that wasn't branded ESPN Radio or Radio Disney at the time. They sold them all off for $4 billion, and then about 6 months later took that money and bought Marvel. So I was kind of offered, basically at the time, they were like, do you want to stay with Disney or do you want to stay with PLJ? And I was kind of like, well, what would I do with Disney? And they were like, well, would you go work for ESPN? And I'm like, I'm there. Yes, that was always the dream. And that was always the goal. So I was for 3 years, I was a producer, and I occasionally would be on air. I had a couple of segments. And then I also started my own. And that's where my writing led me to EGM. What started was I started doing video game reviews and started doing comic book reviews, and did New York Comic Con and did PAX East and did all these other events and stuff. And and it was just, it kind of like one thing led to another. And then I kind of were like, ESPN had a huge management shift, And then it was kind of like I had a choice. Like, do I want to go full-time geek or do I want to stick with full-time sports and maybe start over all over again with this new management at ESPN? And I was like, I'm going geek, baby. We're going full-blown geek. And that's when I went to EGM and later DC Comics and the Boss Team Games and helped make the Evil Dead game that came out a couple of years ago. And and did all that fun stuff. So it's been an interesting time here on the West Coast.
You're like living my dream.
Yeah.
I mean, Lee, you're doing great too. I don't want to take anything away from you.
He's living my dream.
Yeah, he's living like all our geek dreams right here on the West Coast. And like I'm counting down the days till I'm done with what I'm doing and just I can walk away and do just this full time. Actually, I could do it anytime I want, but this is what I want to do. I love everything there is geek. It's just I can go on and start ranting about that stuff and how much I love it, but
you don't do a show like this unless you love it, right? And,
exactly.
Right.
I mean,
Ray's pursuit is the same thing. The other thing too is that it's funny that we both started kind of in a radio background, and while podcasting obviously has this great video element to it, which we're trained for, it's really the audio element, the radio element that we love.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, Eugene. We'd love to like get to the point too where we could do this full time, right? That's the goal, man. That's the dream.
We're not doing that.
I mean, we're doing it full time, but we're not getting paid for it.
Well, I mean, I do all that other work so I can do this.
Well, yeah, no, exactly.
This is my dessert. This is what I enjoy. No.
I mean, you could, honestly, I never thought about that. Where, I'm doing all that other stuff, but so I can be able to do this. This is like the cherry on top, the dessert.
We have one of our editors for our show. His name is Xavier. He also runs a podcast called the New to Wrestling Podcast. And I sat down with him when I interviewed him, and I know him pretty well. And his dream was just to do a wrestling podcast. And we talked about this, about shifting his mindset of you do the job, you do your work so you can do the podcast. The work is what pays for you to do what you love. Right now, that's not always easy for everybody. It's not always as simple for everybody, but that mind shift really helped them. I said, if you just go to your 9 to 5 every day and you're just doing it for the money and to survive, that's what's going to happen. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not downplaying that. But if you have a goal or a dream that you want to achieve, you're working to get to that, right? And every day is a stepping stone to get to that. To get to that. And it's a stool too, because you're getting higher each time. But it was amazing to watch him really take pride in his work, because that work leads him to his show. And he's got a great show. We won't talk about it too much here, but I look at
this show's about us. This one's about us today.
Yeah, no,
it's all about you guys. Nobody else counts.
Yeah, no, Geeks is like that for me too. Like I love doing this, and God knows I'm busy. Ray does too, but I carve time for this because I love doing it so much. You know what I mean? And I will not give it up. I could easily, Ray, you too, could easily say I don't have time for that. No, I love this, so we make the time for it. And that's kind of what I think is important out there. If you have the ability to do it, not always easy.
Yeah.
But one of our guys, Distance Nerding, who's a podcast up north, good friends of ours, love them. That's Phil and James. They're saying that's the issue. Need to build a community, and that's what we're doing. The more we come on to each other's show,
absolutely
right.
Yeah,
we build that community, and we start to find more podcasts. And sooner or later, we may niche out a little.
You get the mugs, then you get the community, and then you have a hit, my friend.
Well, actually, it's a shirt. You got to have a shirt.
We've got those too. Don't. We got you some mugs, all right?
It's in the wash.
Yeah,
it's in the wash.
Well, this one's actually a special shirt. I made it because we went up to Idaho, and I was hoping to meet Sean Astin, and he was on a panel. We did this whole thing. It was really cool, and so I made this shirt, and I was like, I'm going to show it off to him. And when he was done with the panel, his people rushed him off, and I was walking up, and it's like, I got this shirt.
Yeah.
Did he say Goonies forever or anything? Nothing?
No, nothing.
Oh man, that's not. Well, I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Goonies never die.
Goonies never die. Yep.
So you guys, well, I mean, another Project Wish Upon Start, Darren over there was saying that Ray, you rock.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, you're living our dream, so we're living vicariously through you.
I appreciate it. Sometimes it's a nightmare, but usually it's not bad. So
Anytime you got to deal with me is a nightmare. But yeah, that's okay. That's the way I want it to be.
So, Lee, you spent some time over across the pond, as they say, and I noticed that you have a lot of references to Ted Lasso. So,
you mean like that whole stall of Ted Lasso stuff right over here?
Which I'm a huge Ted Lasso fan. The show was amazing.
Ray, did you just roll your eyes? Did you just roll your eyes, Ray?
No.
Oh, I'm just teasing.
Did
I? No, you just
if I did, it was completely involuntary.
You looked up to the TV gods. Yeah, I'm sorry. I tease Ray all about this all the time.
So the comparison, you compare yourself. How is it that you compare? What is it that you're comparing?
Well, I'll be honest with you. And I've got plenty of people that can back me up on this. I've never compared myself to him. People have compared me to him a lot. And when I was watching the show, the comparisons are terrifyingly close, right? So
Lee was Ted Lasso before Ted Lasso.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unfair.
In fact, Lee should sue, Jason Sudeikis for copyright, some sort of copyright infringement or something. It was Lee. He saw Lee doing a speech or something somewhere, and he's like, I can do that.
Listen, this is what I will say. Is first off, it was a brilliant show. I love Jason Sudeikis. I was Ted Lasso for Halloween last year. That wasn't even by my own choice. It was like I was told to do it. And I've done seminars about Ted Lasso. But look, my role in sports, and this is from professional sports all the way down to youth sports, is as the team builder and the culture builder. And that really is kind of my job title. So the brilliance of that show for me, man, is that I think it can be easy for people to watch that and go, it's just a show. It's just very Disney and Apple-ish, and it's not real. And I'm telling you, that stuff's real. I mean, that is what I bring to a locker room when I work with a team, is that cohesiveness and bringing people together. Most importantly, getting people to see the best versions of themselves, because I believe that great people make great players, right? And that's the key to the whole thing. And look, you need talent, you need tactics. There's no chance of you winning without those two things, but you also need a team bond. So I'm watching the show each week, and one of our other producers, Caitlin, was watching it with me. And she would, I wish she was here to confirm this, but she would pause it and say, well, what would you do in this situation? And I would say, this is what I would do. And it's exactly what would happen in the show. I mean, it was terrifying. Or adversely, things would happen in the show. I'm like, that happened to me. That exact thing happened to me. Like when he gets there and everybody's calling him wanker and like nobody believes in him. Like that happened to me. Like I got there and I was told, we don't need a bloody American to tell us how to play ice hockey. And I'm like, well, you really do, but that's not the point. But it was just, there's so much pushback from being an American in another country. And slowly but surely I won that entire fan base over because I communicated with them. I made a community with them, as you're always talking about. And then obviously the hockey team, Ray knows this story, but the hockey team and, AFC Richmond, when I took over the hockey team as a team builder and assistant coach on that team, I didn't take over. I mean, it was a member of the team. We went from second and last to champions in 1 year, right? And it was through a lot of the tactics that we talked about. That team is still doing well. And while there's no relegation or a promotion in ice hockey over there, we went from basically worst to first within a season. And the stories from the show, I had a Jamie Tart, I had a Roy Kent on the team. I had all these characters. So when Ray says I should sue, well, yeah. I mean, the similarities are there, man. But look, I've never said I'm the real life Ted Lasso. But a lot of people have called me that. And actually, it's a point of pride for me that people see that in me, because he's such a beloved character. And it's a beloved story now, that if that's how people are equating me in life, that's not a bad place to be. It was that or Mary Poppins, and I, as much as I love a spoonful of sugar, Ted Lasso makes the medicine go down. I don't know if that made sense, but we're going to go with it, baby.
Soccer is just hockey on grass.
Barbecue sauce.
Completely ripped Lee off.
Soccer is grass hockey. Basketball is tree hockey.
Yeah.
All right, I have something for everything. Baseball is stick hockey.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
that's a bit of a stretch.
I'm gonna be right there with Ray. That's a stretch.
I'll tell you this. You guys want to hear something crazy? Is that I'm kind of alluding to it, but the sport that most mimics hockey from an athletic standpoint is baseball. It's not football, soccer, or anything else. I mean, you can make an argument for lacrosse, but lacrosse really is grass hockey. But
yes.
the athletes in baseball and hockey really could transition very quickly. And when you think about it, I mean, outside ice skating, which is important, but swinging a baseball bat is the same weight transfer as swinging a hockey stick. And the hand-eye coordination we have to have with a stick to a puck is very similar to a bat to a ball. And then also the reaction time and speed of a ball gets hit, you have to react. That is a very hockey-based thing over a large course of area, where football is not exactly played that way. It's more about a short game, right, outside long passes, which is a different play altogether. And then, basketball transitions a lot more than hockey. But in terms of an athlete, baseball players are built a lot more like hockey players. So I proved my point and confused you both thoroughly. I win. We can move on now. Looking at the faces, you guys like, I'm not lying though. The athlete build for a baseball player, hockey player.
We never talked about this. It's an interesting thought.
Yeah, look, Ray, I'll tell you this. Ray doesn't know this because I don't like to brag, but I'll say it. I played one season of baseball when I was 16, and I hit 25 home runs in 20 games. All right, and I never played again because I was so into hockey. But I'm telling you, the shot motion and swinging the bat, they're very, very similar. They're obviously not the same, but the same motion to a good shot is the same motion to a good swing. And the ability to see the baseball, trust me, when a puck is flying at your head, you're going to learn to respond to that. So I had a lot of luck in baseball. And then even fielding, just the snap of a play, getting it and turning and knowing where to throw it, that came very, very naturally to me. I mean, it's that or I was just a really good athlete. I didn't try too many other sports. I mean, I never really played football.
Did you play?
They put me at shortstop,
Yeah,
which is like, I mean, I remember one time in college, I was playing a rec game and someone hit one right to me. And I, without even thinking, just caught it, turned and skipped right to first. I remember thinking, how the hell did I do that? I remember thinking, but it just transferred.
I never knew that Lee played a year of baseball. I've known you
Not
for
many
20
people do.
years, and you've never told me that you played baseball.
25 home runs in 20 games.
You know, out of this whole conversation, that was the only thing that Ray's been fixated on. He's like, he's never told me.
Well, I didn't want to ruin it for him.
That's the wheels that were going through your head, right?
Ray will always be better than me at video games, and I have told him that I have one sole victory over him. I have one victory over Ray in video games ever, and I will lord that forever because his 972 wins trumps my one. But I got the one, baby.
It's always that one, just like right now with you and your Phillies. Right now, that's just
we've been successful in recent years. We have been successful in recent years.
All right, so Caitlin did chime in on our chat.
No, she didn't. She's in New York on vacation. She's not supposed to be doing this right now.
She's having fun watching the show. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
She should be watching the Rangers game.
Well, yeah, but she wants me to ask Ray. Ask what the bus is.
Yeah. Oh, the bus. The bus is something that we've instituted into a lot of shows here in our second season of Geeks Who Like Sports, which is basically
the bus.
Basically, you've heard about getting thrown under the bus. Well, when I really, really hate something or someone, I'm going to throw you in front of the bus so that you get hit by the bus. And most of the time, it's Warner Brothers, specifically David Zaslav. I mentioned earlier, I did work for DC for a year and a half. My time there was interesting. I was the head writer and one of the producers for a show called DC Daily, which was the news show for the DC Universe streaming service, which of course got folded into HBO Max and now Max and whatnot, and it got sunsetted and whatnot. But also just everything that Warner Brothers has done over the last couple of years, specifically Zaslav killing all these movies, obviously the Batgirl Project, and obviously what they're doing now. They're going to lose basketball because of Zaslav, and now they're going to lose the Coyote versus Acme project. They shelved. So a lot of times it's me just or sometimes it's a New York Yankees, specifically Giancarlo Stanton, after hitting into 2 double plays with the bases loaded the other night. I want to throw these people in front of the bus and under the bus because they piss me off.
You lose. Good day, sir.
That was the role I was born to play.
So the metaphorical bus is out of
Timothy
Ray's
Chalamet.
creation, and we enjoy fictitiously
Yes.
inviting
Yes.
people on the bus or running people over with the bus, fictitiously, not real, metaphorically,
Yes.
to prove our point of anger at any given time.
We're not going to see Ray in a
I'm
bus.
not actually literally
Right
throwing
towards-
people. In
I
front
mean,
of
I have imagined it many times to the old Six Flags, and then Ray gets off the bus and starts jumping around, and again, for all you, I guess, '90s fans out there right now, that was a big ad back in the '90s. But
huge.
the bus. Caitlin wanted to know about the bus. We talked about the bus.
There's
Caitlin,
the
what else
bus,
should we talk
Caitlin.
about?
So Darren over at Project Wish Upon a Star wanted to ask Ray, what is we're getting a lot of questions for Ray.
That's fine. That's the way I like it.
But what is your favorite 80s arcade game?
Oh,
It's in my office, Ray. It's in my office. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, it's the thing is we actually talked about this, I think, briefly on this week's show, which is there are so many great beat 'em ups from that era, specifically by Konami. The two Ninja Turtles, there was Ninja Turtles, and then there was Turtles in Time. The Simpsons one, obviously X-Men. X-Men was special because it was the only one that had 6, right? The big one, you had the double wide one that had 6 actual people there.
I have to say, I have this in my office.
Yes, I know. Keep rubbing it in. I know. Yes, you have.
It's by the couch where the couch potato works. It's an open position. You can come over at any time.
Lee, if
we can play X-Men.
I'm going to put it right now.
Sorry, that's
Yes,
the
and of course,
Colossus sound.
Colossus was my favorite character because I just loved every time doing his special and he goes,
Yeah. Eugene, I want you to know I did hear what you said, and the position's open.
I'm taking Ray. I'm just saying, we might have to, have it.
Okay.
X-Men off.
You know what? Honestly, Eugene, if you can somehow get to Philadelphia before me, then good on you, buddy. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. All right.
We'll have an X-Men off in there.
Oh,
I'm gonna win that.
Well, then you're not winning, Eugene. Then you're
I'm
sorry,
winning
buddy.
that. I'm gonna win that. Now keep going, Ray. You said it right. Turtles
in
I
Time.
think it's just so many from that era, but I would have to probably say X-Men. The X-Men arcade machine is probably the top one.
So we should also say that X-Men '97 did an amazing job of actually incorporating a lot of that game into X-Men '97.
A lot of references.
I loved that Mojo episode.
Oh,
that was a lot of fun too. That was very Sega-ish, and then
Nintendo,
obviously
yeah.
Asteroid M is the main antagonist from the X-Men video game.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw a wild card in there though. We talk about this a lot. I believe of the classic button games, X-Men's my favorite, but I have always loved Afterburner, the full simulation game with the movable canopy.
Yes.
Right? Like to me, that was if I got to play that, it was a special day.
I'm going to put it out there, and this I've never said this before, so you guys should feel special that I'm revealing a little bit, more of me here. But I loved Iron Eagle. Do you guys remember?
Oh
Iron
yeah,
Eagle?
of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
He put the headphones on, but he would turn on the music and he'd start flying even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. Because I do that with a
Walkman.
lot of things that I do.
I had my Walkman when I'd go to the arcade, and I'd turn on my music and I'd play Afterburner. Still sucked, but I was like, hell yeah.
Well, I don't think anybody was good at that game. But
No.
look, I'll tell you this. I've always put music on when I've had to do anything. A really quick story. Ray will laugh at this. Ray, I don't know if you know this story too. This is apparently a day of reveals for you. But back in 2007 or 8, I was in my early 20s, but I was a head coach of a college team. And I was driving a Toyota Sienna minivan. It was tan. Ray remembers that car. Mm-hmm. And I was on campus with my sunglasses on and the Def Leppard or Motley Crue blasting. I felt so cool just with the window down. I got my job and I got my sunglasses. And I remember I looked out the window feeling cool, and there was 2 college girls just laughing at me.
Oh yeah. I do know that story. I do know that.
And I was like, you know what? I probably don't look that cool. But I was like, "Hit me like a bomb, ba-bomb, ba-bomb, ba-bomb." I just kept driving because I have graduated from the minivan to something a little more economic and cool looking now. So I had a minivan before I had kids. I've done my time.
Yes, what we call it, the Vandalorian.
The Vandalorian. Now I have TK, my Toyota, my Kia Telluride.
There you go.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with the Kias except for their gas tanks that are plastic, and if you run something over, it's going to puncture a hole and screw your day out.
Coming to Los Angeles.
That's
now
what
how
happened.
the fire tornado started.
Oh, yeah, that trail of gas coming right behind my car.
Yeah, you just see a Kia Telluride with me in the front seat. We've got to get to 88, buddy. Why? To go back in time to outrun the fire tornado. Great Scott!
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. I should have just lit. Got out of my
Right?
car.
Does it look like my tires are leaving a fire track? Just drive, Lee. I'm gonna die.
Oh,
Now I'm
God.
blasting
So,
Huey Lewis in the news. Remember what
I
that guy
have
said about Iron Eagle?
I got a great story. You want to talk about tires on fire?
Always. Let's do it.
I have a long drive. I have a 4-hour drive to get to work. Yeah.
How often do you do that?
I do. So it's 4 days on, 4 days off. So
Wow.
I'll do 4 days. My first day I drive out, and last day I drive back home.
God
and I'm
bless you,
home
my
for 4
friend.
days. But there was one time I'm driving on the 5 freeway, and if you've ever driven the 5 north past the Grapevine, there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
And at 2:00 in the morning, all I'm really passing is like semi trucks. Well, I had my music blasting at night because I was like, trying to stay awake because I'm driving.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing like, it looks like fire on the road, like chunks of something was on fire. And I'm like, the hell is this? And I'm pulling off to the side, passing them, and I keep going, and I'm driving. I look ahead of me. There is it looks like a SUV. I end up coming up to it. It's a Ford Explorer. The left back tire was on fire. Legit on fire. And this lady is just driving her car. I'm coming up alongside, honking my horn, yelling at her. And it's like, how do you not see the fire out of the side view mirror? But she's going. And she just kept, I was like, you know what? I'm just getting away from her because I did my job, which was honk, say hi. I got to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, I think it was a Tesla. It was on the I was on the 134, and I was driving home from a theater, from a play show. I saw a play, and there was the overpass, and the Tesla drove off the overpass. And if you don't know what happens, like when a lithium ion battery is like punctured, it's not good. And the car immediate fireball, immediately exploded. The whole thing, and they had to shut down the 134, and I just got by, and I saw my rearview mirror, like all the fire and explosions, and it was insane. And amazingly, I found out later, I watched the news, the 2 people in the car survived. The Tesla fell off the overpass, or drove off, or whatever, and they exploded, but the 2 people in the middle in the car got out and survived with only minor injuries. Unbelievable.
But that story alone tells me I will not get a Tesla.
No.
Because that's freaking Skynet that took over that car and drove them right off that bridge.
That's right. They were talking about something they shouldn't have been talking about.
Exactly.
Drive with me if you want to live.
I was driving out to Boise, Idaho for a con, and the damn car, the GPS kept messing up, and I'm like, where am I going? I don't know. I said Skynet once, and that was it. The whole trip was just.
Imagine if the car's like, people will die. I'm a man of my word.
Joker mobile.
Oh my God.
Or worse, you just get the Elon Musk. We're going to take your car to the moon right now. Ready for
the moon? To the moon.
I think we need to go with this direction.
That's what those lithium batteries really do. They're meant to blow to shoot you to the moon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
but guys, so we like to do this segment called This Week in Geek History. I'm glad that you guys are here. I want to do this segment with you guys now. So we're now going to go into it. So everybody, this is yes, This Week in Geek History, guys. Look at I'm all professional. I've got slides and everything. I'm like,
I just love the Back to the Future sound. I started singing. I have that soundtrack all the time.
That's my favorite movie. Like, I love Star Wars. Don't get me wrong. It's one of my favorite franchises, but Back to the Future, for some reason, I always go back to.
So people are often shocked to know that is my favorite film because of my knowledge of Star Wars. And doing things like reading Shadows of the Empire again right now. I'm not kidding. But I always say Star Wars is my favorite property, but Back to the Future is my favorite film.
Oh yeah, I have a whole shelf over here which you can't really see, but it's literally all the NECA Back to the Future figures,
Yeah.
along with the.
I think I have a out of time license plate right there. Yeah, I do. There's one behind my head. You can see.
Oh, nice.
Yep, it's a little small right now, but yeah, no, I've got DeLoreans galore. I hope to drive a DeLorean one day, just to see.
You got a lot of
I know.
DeLoreans out here in LA.
There are.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a bunch of schmucks.
I follow this one person on TikTok who's got like 3 of them.
Well, I just
That's-
want to drive one.
My
We need to make that happen when you come west, Lee.
That's fine with me. You know, people always say like, "If you made millions and millions, what would you do?" I was like, "I'd ride on a DeLorean." Like, you wouldn't buy it. Like, no, just need to drive it once. That's it.
No, you don't want to own that. They're not great cars.
They're not
No.
amazing anymore. They're 40 years old.
well, no, they're just not amazing cars. Period. A lieutenant of mine was young kid. He was so stoked because he bought a DeLorean. I was like, oh, that's awesome, man. I love the movie and all that other stuff. I saw him 3 months later. He's all like, I'm getting rid of this thing because it's got oil leaks.
It's a lemon.
got all these things. He's like, I've spent more money trying to fix it up than what I spent on
Look,
it.
all I'll say about the DeLorean is that aside from its pop culture lore, that car for the longest time, and actually kind of again now, but I thought that car transcended the look of automobiles. It was so far ahead of the future. And we kind of caught up to it in the 90s, and then I thought for a while it was out of touch. And then the Cybertruck thing happened, and I was like, it's back in, baby.
Those things are so ugly.
Yeah, it's lithium ion. Don't get in those; it might blow up.
Oh
Yeah.
my god!
Well,
There was a person. I was at a coffee shop the other day that had one of those. They had the Cybertruck, and they were sitting, and everybody they had parked it out front. Everybody who was walking in after them was talking about how horrible the car was, and you could just see the person getting madder and madder and madder online. And I just was like laughing so hard because it's like it's just such a terrible mistake. Such a terrible mistake.
I did see the one guy that made it look like the Halo vehicle, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
That's all right.
Yeah, that I'll take, but
Yeah.
taking it like stalking, no. But I really wish that this movie had come out May 4th. I wish there was a May 4th back when this movie was coming out, but this week is Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, which we never call it Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. We usually just call it The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
And it premiered in 1980, which I don't know about you guys, but to me, this movie it was the best of all of them. I would have to say. What do you guys think?
I agree with that 100%. I mean, funny thing is, as a kid, I probably would have leaned actually more towards Return of the Jedi, but as I got older, my appreciation for Empire really grew, and what it meant in terms of storytelling, in terms of its cliffhanger ending, in terms of not everything having to be this, you kind of this cliffhanger, right? Like it was kind of never really been done before to that degree, right? Where you had the heroes really kind of on their heels. But yeah, I mean, as a kid, Return of the Jedi because of the happy ending, but like now as an adult and understanding what it meant, and again, in terms of its storytelling and its writing, and obviously the Vader reveal to Luke, Empire is the best Star Wars, in my opinion.
So hear me out here. Rise of Skywalker is not the best film by a mile. I just wanted to say that.
Okay.
To see if I could scare everybody for a second. Look, here's the deal. Empire is the best Star Wars film, but I don't think this is an unpopular opinion. I think it's not said enough. I think Rogue One is right there with it. I think Rogue One is one of the best Star Wars films ever made. It is very Empire-ish in nature.
Mm-hmm.
I think it borrows heavily from Empire. I understand why people don't like that, but Rogue One is the first Star Wars film that I saw in my life that echoed the feeling of seeing the original trilogy again. The prequels were their own thing. They did not make me feel that way. The prequels have their own feeling to them. I think that the Acolyte gives a very prequel feel. I think that like things like Ahsoka has a prequel feel. I don't want to talk about the sequels. Not enough time's gone by yet.
I think a lot of time needs to go by for those, Lee.
Oh,
Empire, I believe, is the best film. And I'll tell you this, just to give you an idea of the praise that I use this film for. I believe Avengers Infinity War is the best Marvel film.
Yeah.
I actually believe X-Men 97 is the best thing they've ever done. But in terms of film, I think Infinity War is the best film. And I remember thinking, this is the biggest compliment I can give Empire. At the end of Infinity War, where everybody is snapped away, I remember calling Ray and saying, this is what Empire must have felt like. Like, this is the gift that they've just given us. Like, because we were too young to go to the theaters to see that. And by the time we did go see it in the theaters, we already knew what had happened.
Right.
So I said, this has got to be that punch to the gut of the Empire winning and you not knowing what's going to happen.
And we were actually fortunate because with Avengers, we only had to wait 1 year.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to remember, with Empire, they had to wait 3 years to get Return of the Jedi.
They did. And Mark Hamill had that horrible accident prior to Empire, but like you didn't know what was going to happen. And this is not, again, for the younger audience, like trilogies were not a thing at that time. It didn't happen that often. So I think Empire is the best film. I really do think that Rogue One deserves a place in a top 5 list. And then I'll also say too that the Mandalorian trilogy, which is not a film, but I loved every second of the Mandalorian.
yes.
And I think that has to be in the conversation too.
I would say that Rogue One was pretty awesome. Like the fact that we've got more backstory of what's going on. We've got really cool characters that did come out of it. And then we saw a Vader that put the fear back into us of who Vader is, what he can do, and how he was moving and just just wicked. It was
cool. I'll tell you this, and Ray will remember this because I have a bad knack for predicting things. But I did say, people ask me, what do you want out of this film? I said, all I want them to do is restore Vader to the villain that he is. Because, again, it can be easy to remember that at that time we had just kind of, not just, but the sequels are out, and Anakin, even with the Clone Wars, Anakin was kind of the character suddenly, which I don't think Anakin's a bad character, but he weakened the villainy of Vader, right? And I thought Rogue One, obviously, the final scene, restored that. And it's amazing that scene almost didn't happen. Do you know about this, Eugene?
Yeah.
I mean, it just almost didn't happen. It's like somebody at the last minute was like, oh, we should have Vader kill everybody. I'm like, yeah, that's what you should do. But look, I love that. I also want to give a shout out to the scenes between Vader and Obi-Wan in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. I'm not going to lie to you. Their final fight in that show, I wouldn't say it brought me to tears, but I was feeling something, right? I don't mind saying that. Like though the Vader and the Force, light dark, that has always been my favorite part of Star Wars. When Ahsoka dives into that, it dove into it very well. When it wasn't doing that, it was like we gotta get going here.
Yeah.
All right. But
a lot of bloat in Ahsoka. A lot of bloat in Ahsoka.
Yeah. The goods, the highs were really high and the lows were really boring.
Yeah.
And also it relied heavily on you watching, obviously,
Rebels.
So
yeah. Oh yeah, that was a huge thing.
Yeah. So I'm going to go on for an hour here if you let me, but I'm just saying Rogue One is right up there.
You're not mentioning there was another show that was going on too around Obi-Wan and Ahsoka in between that. You guys do remember that show, right?
What, Andor?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
Which this was something that baffled our minds on May the 4th, which was so many people were just saying how much they loved Andor. And I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't either.
I was done. Couldn't do it.
I'll tell you what about Andor. Look, Andor was a bit of a departure from traditional Star Wars. And I think that if you can go into Andor with the mindset of like, look, this isn't about the Force. This is a heavy dialogue-driven drama, and if you can look at it like that, it's not high action. It's a mystery, right? A lot of it's just about following these people, and it's really 3 stories in one season. And I had a hard time getting into it in the beginning. Now, when he gets to the prison, when Andy Serkis shows up, it gets much more fun to watch.
Mhm.
But
You can say about
that
everything that Andy Serkis has ever done.
It's true, right? But that show never offered the big bang moments that Star Wars offers. Which again, it's okay if you're ready for that. But I wasn't ready for it to be what it was. It was much more of a political drama.
Yeah.
I do think that Skarsgård was his character is awesome. Like I enjoyed the unveiling of what he's willing to sacrifice to create the rebellion. But it's very much a political drama. And if you're not into that, or you want to see Vader fight Obi-Wan again, it's going to be a little tough.
Yeah. And that's kind of, we thought we were going to get more kind of the story. I mean, we got the story of Cassian.
Yeah, but it wasn't espionage, right? Like,
but we wanted to know about his adventure, like actual hardcore adventures, because by the time we get him in Rogue One, it's like he's this freaking amazing, awesome dude. That, and then we get that he was just a weenie.
Well, and here's the other thing too. It's like, and Ray would say this every week. He goes like, we already know the ending. We know what's going to happen to him. So
it's
like
the hard part about prequels.
Yeah, you got to get us invested in this guy to make us care more. And like again, it was the dialogue is very carefully and well written, but I think that show gives you like, you know, it's not all just about dialogue. If you don't have the right pacing, it can feel weird. Adversely, the prequels, the worst dialogue, like the joke that my actual older brother and I always joke about is prequels are great as long as no one's talking.
Yeah.
You know, but it shows you something about entertainment value. By the way, I went to go see The Phantom Menace in the theater. The pod racing, man, it still holds up. It's insane that movie 30 years later is able to hold up the way it does.
Well, that's insane. Like the best scene out of it, the whole movie. If you just give me the end, the start credits and then jump right into that and then end, all right, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Those movies have aged well, right? In the sense of they found their place, in the sense of people have accepted the story. I think it also shows, and this is why actually I don't comment on the sequels, is that, you know, it was easy for us to forget, and we were all in our 20s at that time, I think, or close to it, you know, like late teens, early 20s. That was a different Star Wars for us, but there was a bunch of 8, 9, and 10-year-olds that loved it. Yeah. And now that's their Star Wars, right? And they talk to me about the old movies, right? And now it makes me wonder, I don't think it's going to happen, but in 10 years, are you going to have these sequel kids kind of come out? And I don't think so.
Yeah, but I don't think. No.
There's such a drop off in quality, I think, with the sequels.
I like The Force Awakens. The other two I had a hard time with.
The scenes that I liked from The Force Awakens was just seeing the Millennium Falcon and seeing what it was doing, and then seeing Han Solo and Chewbacca, and then after that it was just kind of like, Rey, what? She already knows how to use the Force? What the hell?
Yeah, some of that was exaggerated. I mean, I was really hoping for a crossover. I wanted Rey to go dark and Kylo to go light. I thought that would have been a very interesting story to tell, and I understood that they wanted to use The Force Awakens to kind of reestablish the story. But the problem with that movie, I almost said show, the problem with those three movies is we got to remember, they were made right before streaming kind of was a thing. Yeah. Right. So they didn't have a plan for the second and third film in that trilogy when they started. That was a mistake.
That's really the mistake. Their cardinal sin is that they didn't have a plan.
Actually, they had a plan how those movies were going to run. J.J. Abrams did have a playbook.
Yeah.
And
Rian Johnson
he left to go do Star Trek.
Yeah.
They took his playbook, and how I like to always say it is they took it, they threw it on the ground, they pissed all over it,
and they put in the trash compactor.
It off, and they're like, we don't want that. We're gonna do whatever we want.
Then Rian Johnson literally pissed on our childhoods, making Luca sniffling putts. Even Mark Hamill says that. And then look, I'll say this too: is that happened, then COVID happened, and streaming became the way everything goes, and then Marvel obviously masterfully did everything that they did. So those movies are a little bit of victim of. They came out at the wrong time. If they had just waited 5 more years, you know what it would have been? It would have been The Mandalorian. I remember watching The Mandalorian with Grogu, or Baby Yoda, as we used to call him, thinking like, this was it. Why didn't they just make this? Yep. This is what this should have been, right? And you know, thank God we have The Mandalorian. I would say Star Wars has completely redeemed itself in the last few years.
They're fixing the path to the sequels.
They're trying to.
Yeah. Bit by bit. Like, I mean, I honestly think that now they're going to have, I honestly think that Ahsoka is going to establish the establishment of the First Order. I think with Thrawn. I think that that's gonna have that, how they're gonna build that, how they're gonna explain that. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. But that's basically what they're doing with the TV shows, is like, we're gonna make these suck less by building up the gap before them.
So, quick side note for you, helping you out here, Eugene. I have a message here from one of your viewers right now.
Oh, okay.
That messaged me because he knows me, our friend Casey Ray.
Yeah.
Basically, long story short, wanted to let us know that I can actually rent a DeLorean, which I was slightly aware of, and I'm thinking maybe on my 41st birthday, I am going to go do that, and I'm going to go 88 just to see.
So there is a company.
Rent a DeLorean.
Yes. That's exactly what I was saying. And I keep hinting that that's what I want for one of my birthdays, and I still don't get it.
I am going to put on jeans, white Nike sneakers with a red swoosh. I'm going to get a button-down shirt and a life preserver and a jean jacket, and I'm going for a ride with my aviator sunglasses on. I don't have any hair, but that's okay.
Well, so now we're going to move on from this movie because we can go. I know
best movie in Star Wars history still to this day.
Yes,
easily.
But
this segment, by the way, brought to you by Kingsford Barbecue Briquettes, because that is, of course, what Andor ends up as. So, spoiler.
And there is there's a trash dump somewhere in this country that has a pile of Jar Jar Binks toys and memorabilia. So, moving on to the next one we have, which is The Shining, was released in the same year as Empire Strikes Back, was 1980. Also.
Great movie, great year.
Yeah.
It was a great year, and there was a lot of great movies that came out that year. And this movie scared the crap out of me.
It was only rated PG.
Yeah, that's
no PG-13 back then.
PG back then was way different than what PG is now.
I was joking with my son the other day. We're going to talk about this with another movie. I said, if you don't stop, I'm going to show you what they showed me as a kid, because you guys got Bluey and all these nice movies. I said, why don't we watch Indiana Jones 2? And you can watch what happens in that. We'll see how you sleep that night. Kalima. We'll talk about that.
Yes, we will. We will definitely talk about that. But this was a Kubrick movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Stephen King book, and Stephen King hated this adaptation of this movie, or of this book in particular. But he did they redid this movie in, I think it was the 90s, as a miniseries.
Yes, with Steven Weber from Wings as the main character, as Jack Nicholson's character.
And they made a sequel to it.
Yeah, and it was actually, so this was, that particular one in the 90s was more well received than this one by Stephen King himself, because he felt that was closer to his book than this was. But this movie still scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, this movie was Stephen King can I get it. He's the creator. Obviously, his opinion matters, but obviously, this is the classic. I watched that miniseries also, and I was and maybe spoiled because obviously Jack. Here's Johnny, right? That's so iconic and so classic for a moviegoer and for a cinephile. Sorry, Stephen King. This is eternal and immortal, and this is what we think of when we think of The Shining.
I mean, it's so immortal that there was a big part of this in the Ready Player One film about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Right, which was fantastic. That's another movie that's easily in the top 10 right now for me. But yes.
Yeah.
Really?
I loved Ready Player One. Again, many departures from the book, but I really enjoyed the film.
Yeah.
There's a few parts to it that I did enjoy, but this, and with this scene, The Shining in it was great. It was a lot of fun that they did that, and it was funny. But that movie.
Oh, we can talk about it if you want after this segment. I love that movie. I'll fight you on that.
I'm in the middle. I liked it. I had fun with it, but I definitely
I liked the film. I liked the first book better. The second book was very okay.
It was weird.
It was very weird and okay. Yeah.
But this movie, so a little trivia on this one. Kubrick directed, co-wrote, and produced the film. He was
a psychopath the whole time he was making it.
Yeah, that's what I heard. He was nuts.
Yeah.
But the mood of Jack Nicholson. So Jack Nicholson ate his least favorite food, cheese sandwiches, for 2 weeks prior to shooting. So to get him pissed off, he just ate cheese sandwiches.
Yeah.
I mean, did you guys ever see that behind the scene footage of this scene when he's getting ready for this scene and how psychotic he looks? You have to look this up. There's like a behind the scenes footage of him getting ready to break through the door, and he walks in the room. This is not filming yet, and there's the axe on the bed, and he's just doing this really weird hop, and he picks up the axe, and he's like, "Aha! Kill, 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 kill." I mean, it's like I'm watching this, and it's like he's not acting yet. All right, and it's terrifying. And then the way they cut it is he goes to the door, and he's like, murder. Like, this is just him getting psyched up for the scene, and then it kind of goes like this, and then it cuts right to the scene, and I'm like, Jesus, Jack, damn.
I mean,
Like,
that is
you need to
is
find that video of him just behind the scenes, Jack
classic
Nicholson
Jack.
in The
I'll have to
Shining.
look it up. Well,
I've
but
never
now,
seen him like that ever.
now you know it was because all he was eating was cheese sandwiches.
Well, you know what? I'm lactose intolerant, so I get it.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he was plugged up with all that cheese. If it wasn't lactose,
I mean,
so-
yeah, I wouldn't be like, here's Johnny. I'd be like, get out of the bathroom.
I think
Now.
that's why he was trying to break in there. He's
Kill,
like,
kill,
I gotta
kill.
go get out. Get out.
Red rum? No. Poo-poo spelled backwards is poo-poo.
So Darren over at Project Wish Sponsor, I said that this movie was the reason why he does not like going to big hotels.
I love going to
Yeah.
hotels.
And if you've ever like the hotel they shot in is a real life hotel,
Real hotel. You
in
can go there.
Colorado, which is amazing. It's an amazing looking hotel. I've always
Yeah.
wanted to stay there. And the room that they actually filmed the outside of, they never filmed the inside of it, is actually a room there that is, they say, truly haunted.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, you don't go in there.
Yeah. And Ghost Hunters did a whole thing about it. And those guys, they know what they're talking about. If you guys remember that show.
They do.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
better.
There's a lot of old haunted hotels around the country. There's
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of, I stayed at a place in Seattle called, I think it was the Arctic Hotel, and there were a lot of stories about that place too when I was up at PAX 2 years ago.
Anything happen?
Not to me,
No.
but
You
there
didn't
were a
get
lot
hurt?
of there were a lot of creepy paintings everywhere though, and I'm like, you guys are really leaning into this, huh? This whole half haunted thing, huh? All right.
Well, there's a lot of stories about hauntings up at our base, and we've experienced quite a few things happening, from noises to seeing things out of the corner of our eyes, walking. A little girl that likes to play with the red ball in the upstairs of all the barracks. My first night coming to the base, I was inside of one of the barracks buildings all by myself. 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting ready to go to bed, setting up my stuff, and it sounds like upstairs, like there's at least a platoon size element getting ready to go do something. And I'm thinking, because we do night ops and we'll go and train and go out at night in the middle of the night. And I kept hearing drawers opening up, the lockers are opening, and these are metal lockers that we have there, and they're heavy. So it takes a lot, and boots stomping around. And I'm like, damn, man. And then I laid down in bed and remembered I'm all by myself in here. There's
Yeah.
nobody else in here. And at that moment, the boots were starting to come down the stairs, and I just turned towards the wall, put my blanket over my head, and just said, I'm not going to look. I'm just not going to
Yep.
look.
If I can't see it, it can't see me.
Exactly.
I can't see it, it can't see me.
Yep. And it stopped, and I was like, all right, I'm all right. I'm fine. So, yeah.
Now that we're all thoroughly freaked out,
Yeah.
Moving on
what's
to
the next movie? Yeah. What could be more freaky than this?
Next movie we have that's a great hit that every kid should watch. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Kalima Shakti.
20th
that picture.
anniversary.
That's the picture.
This
that we
film
all-
was rated PG,
Yeah.
and we all saw it as little kids. And I
Yep.
don't care who you are, when the Kalima rips out
Yeah.
the heart of that Om Shimaim, Om Shimaim, Om Shimaim. The fact that I remember the exact chant tells you how traumatizing this was.
Yep.
I have not said Om Shimaim in some time. And I even went into my little mind bank of like, what was you saying? It was like Om Shimaim, man. You remember, you watched it.
Oh yeah.
Man,
That
that was
whole
awesome
that whole-
and terrifying film.
Kalima, and then it just
Yeah.
bursts into flames. It's like, oh my god! All
Yeah.
right,
Yep.
no.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. It's also interesting about this film. Steven Spielberg and George Lucas used this film as the defense for the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, because and this was an interesting time period because that movie was not well received, and the main reason was what's so unbelievable. And they said, well, this movie is ridiculous, right? In that sense. And I'm like, you know what? They're not wrong, but this one always was a little different. This was the Mario Brothers 2 of the trilogy, right? This one always was a little bit out in left field compared to the first and the third film.
Yeah.
So I don't know. In the 80s, sure. But
I mean, that's the thing. Crystal Skull, it really jumps the shark when the UFO appears.
yeah, it was.
Right?
Well,
Like,
no one was expecting that.
Well, and that's the thing is like
Yeah.
with this, you kind of get a sense of the craziness, and all the Indiana Jones movies. There's always there's an element of the mystical in all of them. And this does lean into that more. But Crystal Skull, I'm sorry guys, there's no defense for that.
Well, I mean, look, they did time travel in the last film, so I think the point that they're trying to make is Indiana Jones leans out of the norm. But here's the deal: when they're fighting Nazis, we all love it.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I got right here. Speaking of Indiana Jones, I have comics that Marvel put out, which was Further Adventures of Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And most of these comics lean towards more of he's not going against like mythical or whatever you want, supernatural stuff. He's going against like Nazis and going after these different artifacts. And even in Young Indiana Jones, when you watch that show, if you guys remember that show.
I do. With River Phoenix.
Oh, I love.
I mean, not River Phoenix. He was in the film, and then they had another actor take over for him.
It was.
He was in the Boondock Saints, the guy who played.
I know exactly.
It was Flannery, Patrick Flannery.
Yes, you got it.
Yeah, he played young Indiana Jones. I loved that show.
That was a great show.
That's a great show.
It was
right with Superboy. That's when it used to air for me.
That's right.
I'll tell you this too, though. That look, I think Indiana Jones. Obviously, Last Crusade. I mean, you guys might disagree. I think Last Crusade was the best film of the three.
Yes.
The theory again with Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is I wish no one had ever told me this, but the theory is true that if he never got involved, it would have taken care of itself because they would have opened the Ark and all died anyway.
That's true.
So there was no need for him to be there. And like I said, I wish someone had never told me that, but Raiders of the Lost Ark is fantastic, but The Last Crusade is the best film for so many different reasons.
Yeah. But we could thank Penny from freaking what do you call it? Big Bang Theory for that.
Yes. It killed me for that. So he doesn't need to be here. So he doesn't even need to be here. I will say that the best thing that happened from the Temple of Doom is the reemergence right now of Short Round in Marvel. That gives a really nostalgic touch to Loki and some of the other things he's doing. But look, I enjoyed this film. Again, Temple of Doom was always a little outside the other two, the original three. But it was lore and like this was superhero Indiana Jones and not Professor Jones. And that's what I've said is that in this film they really tried to make him a superhero, right? It's the same thing that was kind of like. I don't want to use the word wrong. It was the same thing that like Ghostbusters 2 had the problem with is they tried to make them superheroes. And it's like they're not superheroes. They're down on their luck jackoffs who are trying to sneak things around New York. And that's when they're their best. Right? And I love Ghostbusters 2, but they're not superheroes. That's why that movie never felt right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with that, Ray. I'm kind of
I think that's a very fair assessment. I mean, even if you look at the real Ghostbusters cartoon and whatnot, right? There was an element of sure, obviously the cartoon had a bit more fantastical elements to it as well, but like even that, you felt like these are guys who are living literally gig to gig and just kind of like, and then you stick a river of slime under New York, and it was just kind of like not to say that they didn't obviously make it all work in later films and video games and other stuff, but it was definitely a departure from three disgraced professors from a university,
swindlers. Yeah.
Well, they were Walter Peck considered them a swindler, but I will let you know, sir, those ghosts were very real in 1984.
Right. Well, and the new Ghostbusters films have absolutely paid homage to that in the sense that the existing Ghostbusters in those films are, they're not billionaires, right? Except for Winston, right? Which was a nice touch to have a bank, but Ray is not. A billionaire. He has the things that he loves, and he says that in the film, the new one too. But the thing with Indiana Jones Temple of Doom, just before we digress too far off the canon here, was that look at the image of him there. I mean, that's superhero Indiana Jones. That's Superman. Whereas in the first and the third film, he's not Superman, right? He's an archaeologist.
Yeah. And
right. And when they stuck to that, it was always really good.
We saw in the third film, which they mentioned in trivia, our little trivia right here, the film grossed 333 million globally.
Wow.
Won an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, and it was followed 9 years later, or actually 5 years later, with The Last Crusade.
Well, what visual effects? I mean, he really ripped that guy's heart out of his chest.
You did?
Yeah, I've done the Kali Manta so many. Yeah, it was visual effects.
But you're right. When you look at the difference between Raiders and Last Crusade, and then you look at Temple, he's Dr. Jones in those two bookends, but he's superhero Jones in the middle.
Yeah, it's a great way to describe it.
It's got its place. It's got its place in that time period. But look, just to make this modern, like this is the problem that Thor had in the last Thor film. Like he was a satirical version of himself.
Yeah.
And I think even Chris Hemsworth has come out and said, like, yeah, I didn't do that right. Like he was the big triumph of Thor was in the original films. He was very serious. If you go back and watch first Thor movie and the second, he's very serious. He's very, to the point. I mean, he has his funny moments, but then when you get to Ragnarok, which is easily the best of the Thor films, and I think one of the best MCU films, they completely flipped him, and no one noticed, which was amazing to me that they went from this very serious Thor to this really funny Thor. I call him Guardians Thor because that's really what he did. They put Thor in the Guardians universe and gave him a better writer. But then when you get to the last Thor film, it's like that. This is old. Like there's no development here of him. He's just joking his way through the galaxy, and now he has a daughter. It's just like, what the hell was that, right? But I think he'll come back and be different.
It was horrible. But we're gonna move on.
Move on, because I need to fight you on Ready Player One. I told you, man, I've got all night. Let's do it.
We're moving on to our final movie, which was Backdraft. This one,
the quintessential firefighter film.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it still brings a tear to my eye when I watch it.
It was intense. I mean, there's a lot going on with this film.
I like how we went from Star Wars, The Shining, to Indiana Jones, and then Backdraft. It's like,
ooh, trauma.
Yeah. Drama.
This might have been rated PG-13.
It was because
especially in 1991.
Yeah.
But it was a great movie. Kurt Russell. Which Baldwin? One of the Baldwins was in it. Adam Baldwin, was it?
No,
I mean, there's so many damn Baldwins.
I know who you're talking about. It's not. Well, I forgot his name too.
Is it Billy Baldwin?
Billy sounds right. No, was it Billy? I'm looking at. I'm IMDb in it. That's the purpose of the IMDb.
It wasn't Alec, which is the only Baldwin that matters.
Ooh.
Oh, no. It was the Baldwin. He was this one the Baldwin that was in Biodome? Or am I talking about?
I don't think I could be wrong, but I don't believe it was. I think it was that other brother. Give me a second. I'll get the name. It was William Baldwin.
This is what happened. Backdraft is kind of like Geek adjacent. It's kind of a little to the side, and now we're all kind of like, oh yeah, which Baldwin was it?
Yeah, it was William
whereas
Baldwin.
Lee can chant everything from Indiana Jones, right? Exactly, right? So
Billy Baldwin. No, William Baldwin. There you go.
I do remember
Billy.
Yeah. You were right.
I do remember when Kurt was holding on to what's his name's hand? Lance, old guy that was in this movie, the one that actually was causing the fires. Can't remember his name now. Yeah. And he said, "Don't let go," and then he just lets him go. Yeah, I remember that part.
Yeah. Trauma.
I know this is like so far out there with us as far as the geek, but
I was gonna say I think I've seen Backdraft once. I'm not gonna lie, I've watched Empire 75 times at least, right? Indiana Jones Backdraft, to me, it's such like you said, it's such a drama that it's not gotten a lot of repeat viewings from me over the years. Not gonna lie on that one.
The crazy thing is that I have watched this one over multiple times. Really? I do like the drama of it. It's not like I'm not a huge drama fan, but this movie was great. And what I liked the most about it was what they actually did at Universal Studios down here.
Yeah.
and they created the whole backdraft.
The special
experience.
effects were
Yeah.
a top notch, a whole
And
new level. Yeah, agreed.
That's what this movie actually won an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, which if you ever watch the behind the scenes, they show you how they talk about how the fire itself is a character in the movie.
Yeah.
And the way they had to move the fire around themselves to make it look as if it was alive. Even the sound that you would hear as the smoke gets sucked back underneath the door, and then when the doors open up to have the fire come out, it has a roar to it.
Yeah.
And that was what they said was that was the voice of the fire spitting out.
Yeah, the sound design is a very underestimated art.
Yep.
Yeah. But sorry, I got passionate there for this film. And
You guys are no, I love it, man. That's what this is all about, right?
Back to Bom Shimaya. Okay. But it was for us over here in LA, it was a huge thing because of that whole attraction, and it was a really cool thing to walk through. And the whole set was dropping, and the fire was, you felt the heat and all this stuff, and it was great. Well, I guess I'm the only one that loved it. All right, guys, thanks.
Now let's begin this destructive conflict.
Oh man, he really wants to talk about Ready Player One.
No, we don't have to play about it. First off, great segment there. That we picked the right week to come on this show.
Yes,
Hey,
absolutely.
You guys, the first time I did this with actual guests, or an actual guest was with David Boer, who I'm going to say it right now. Again, see, I have all kinds of stuff right here next to me. If you guys haven't read this comic book, Kanto.
What's it called? Sorry.
I have
Kanto.
not read that. No.
Kanto, no.
Get out there and read this thing.
Send it to me, please. Drive here. I have a couch and an X-Men machine. You can come here.
I'll bring it over.
It's an open position. Yeah.
It's a great comic. It's about a little guy, like he's a tinker or a tin wind up clockwork. That's what it was. Clockwork little knight. And then it's a whole society of them. And he's falls in love because he doesn't have a heart. That's where like he's different and he has a name. It's a whole story, but it's a great story. And the artwork in it is amazing. But he came on the show and I did this with him. And I just picked random movies. Didn't know, what he would like really. And I picked Beetlejuice.
Ooh, classic.
Yeah. Come to find out.
Soon.
Yeah, it is, but I don't know.
The juice is
I don't know what to
loose.
think.
I am cautiously optimistic for the Beetlejuice sequel. Because they've got so many people back on board. It's been so long. I think they're going to lean into the fact that it's been so long. I'm cautiously optimistic for Beetlejuice.
I'm more just cautious because of the main actress that they're putting in there. And I get it. She's been everywhere. And she's, Jenna Ortega.
Ortega, yeah. Plays Wednesday, yeah.
She's, the whole reason why they put her in there is because she's so hot right now. Not that she's hot. I feel weird saying that.
She's like Anya Taylor-Joy or any of these other folks who are just like red hot in Hollywood right now, that they're kind of almost in everything.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, you know what? I don't know. But David Boer, while he was on the show, we were talking about it, and who is a huge, when I say huge Beetlejuice fan, he was all like, "Oh my gosh, I got to show you all my Beetlejuice stuff." He stands up, he's starting to pull stuff off the top of the shelf. He's all like, "I've got this Beetlejuice thing," and he just keeps coming in with more Beetlejuice. And then he said, "I've got my theory about this." I was like, "You got a theory about part 2?" He's all like, "Yeah, I got a theory." I said, "Okay, what's your theory?" He said that what's her face? The mom. Lydia? No, not Lydia.
No, Lydia's the girl. Winona Ryder's character. Catherine O'Hara's character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he says that when you watch that scene where they're panning across for that funeral, that she's dead.
Oh,
maybe
that would be good. Maybe. I think the dad's dead, but that would actually make sense.
Well, I think he's the one in the coffin at the funeral.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it could be that now they're both dead. And maybe there's something that Beetlejuice is coming back for.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, because he's, and rightfully so, like he's going to be done with Hollywood forever, and I think he's in jail. The dude who played the dad, he's not going to be in this at all.
Yeah.
Delia
So-
is her name, the character.
Delia.
I
Yeah.
don't know if Jeff Jones is who I think you're talking about. I don't know. Maybe he will be in the movie. I mean, if he was going to come back for anything, this is it. I don't think he's in jail.
I
think
mean,
he
but I mean, he's been accused of.
I know. I'm just saying, if they were going to do it, this would be the one to do it. This is the role he's most known for outside Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, but I mean, you think about it. Then if they bring him into the film, like if he's in it, then they should allow what's his face Majors to come back as
Kang.
you know,
I mean,
as
yeah. I mean,
Kang.
the thing is isn't he in jail, or did they like, or he they
No.
were they or they or he? Oh no, that's right. He got
You got to quit it. Or
No, he didn't.
Drop-
They
drop
got it was oh gosh, what was it? Community service or something. He
No.
got like community service. It could have been up to a year because he got 2 of the counts they were acquitted on.
I'm
2 of the
looking
counts
it
he
up.
was
I'm
found
looking
guilty.
up.
Jonathan Majors.
Where is Jeffrey Jones? Hold on, let's look this up. You guys need to fill it
but
in.
Majors, I believe, got community service and like probation or whatnot because he did
And
get
he can't play Kang anymore.
right.
Yeah.
He was convicted on the 2 of the lesser of the 4 counts. The other 2 counts where he was found not guilty.
By the way, Ray, the only reason I remember his name is Jeffrey Jones is because we knew a Jeff Jones, and I always remember.
It's true. We did know a Jeff Jones back in college. That is true.
All right.
Now they named the equipment room after him.
He is 77 years old.
Yep.
Let's see here. Later career. He was in something in 2018. It's all staged though.
oh,
So he's doing stuff. He was in Deadwood the movie in 2016. So he's working.
he was.
Look, I'm looking at his filmography. So 2016 was his last film. That's well after his
whole
stuff.
Accusations. Yeah.
And then in television, his last thing was 19. So he's working. So he could be in this.
Yeah, well,
I don't think they're gonna want. I don't think they're gonna want to stir that pot.
Well, if
They may show
if it
pictures,
happens, we'll have to come back on here and talk about it.
Yep.
oh, yeah. But at most, I see it as a picture of him because they were even showing the coffin, and then they started moving up, panning towards that picture, and then they cut away.
It could be as simple as that.
You might
think
get
he's in
some
the coffin.
visuals like that or something. Yeah, I could see that for sure.
I would not be surprised if he's passed away. It would make a lot of sense if Delia, that was her character, if she's dead too. That'd actually be pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Winona Ryder looks pretty sad.
Yeah,
And
so-
you need the ghosts, right? Like that's a big part of Beetlejuice.
Right.
So and she would make a lot of sense for that role. That she's still sticking
Delia
around.
maybe looking for her husband in the afterlife in court, going.
Yeah,
in to get
that makes a lot of
Beetlejuice.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Ortega brings Beetlejuice back for some reason, you know?
Yeah. So,
We'll see. It'll be out in 4 months. So
4 months, and we'll.
It's showtime.
okay. All right, let me get out of this segment. Let me show my little again.
Erased from existence.
Have you seen those like on YouTube? It was like a whole speech that Michael J. Fox did, and he was like supposedly a teacher in a classroom, and it was like talking about time travel, and it was kind of like they were hinting at a part 4, but obviously it wasn't going to happen,
Never.
or
yeah.
part 3, part 4.
They should
4,
never touch that film ever.
No.
no.
Nothing. I don't need
But-
his kids going back in time. Nothing.
But look up Back to the Future 4 on YouTube, and you'll
Yeah.
see. And it's actually a really cool speech where he's talking to the whole classroom, the students, and he's just trying to say, yeah, time travel is not possible, even though he's Marty in that scene, and obviously he went through all.
I'll take a look at that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many things about Back to the Future, like Marty's actually dead. He's been killed multiple times. That's why Doc can save him the times that we do see it in the movie. So many different theories about that.
I heard a funny. It made no sense to me, but they were doing this funny thing of, okay, well, Doc knows Marty's going to come back from 1955 because of the letter, and they started going into this. Well, where did the Marty in that alternate 1955 go? Like, so Doc sacrificed Marty to go back in time, because what they were trying to make was this theory that the Marty that Marty watches going back in time is a different Marty, and that he's going nowhere. Like he might be dead, and that Doc killed him. I'm like, no, in this universe, he just goes back to 1955 and the loop began. And that's what I need to believe to be happy. So that's what we're going to believe.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't need to go dark with this. Don't need to go down these deep, dark holes.
Well, I mean, Marty was hit by Biff's car. That's how Doc figured out how to catch him. Marty did get shot and fall off the what do you call it? The casino. That's why Doc knew where to catch him.
It's true.
There's so many other things that they say that's what happened. That's how come Doc was at where he needed to be at the right time, at the right place.
I like that.
I don't want to, go down a dark hole, but the Marty that we finally see could be Marty number 50.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, but guys, we've been on for actually a lot longer than we've ever had.
Don't you run from me. You wanted a debate. I want a 2-minute reason why you didn't like that film. Go. I want to debate you unless I feel like I have to. I'm not letting you get off your own show that easy.
Ready Player One. I was super excited about it because of so much nostalgia that was put into the book itself. Hearing about the video game, all the consoles that they had, that it was, you had also like movies that I loved referenced, such as Buckaroo Banzai. Yeah. You've had, The Last Starfighter. They talked about Star Wars, obviously, in it. They mentioned all kinds of like Mechagodzilla. I mean, all these things. Mechagodzilla did make an appearance in Ready Player One, the movie. But when you look at the movie and compare it to the book, the movie was so much more heavily driven by newer video game references than it was the 80s that we got in the book, which was so much more fun. I have a playlist that somebody compiled on Spotify that took all the songs that they reference or may be applied to the book, and it was a huge long list. When they took the movie, it was very short, because it's there's not much 80s to it. It didn't feel
part of that though is because it costs so much money to get some of those licenses and stuff, right? So like you can kind of forgive them a little bit. I mean, it was already a very bloated budget and whatnot, and so even to do that was amazing. And I think also you got to understand that they wanted to appeal to a younger, more movie-going audience with the film, whereas the book, obviously, it's appealing to us who are a little older now. I think
I don't care about everybody else.
I completely get that. But trust me.
I understand where you're coming from, but I'll tell you a few things. Maybe this will sway your mind a little bit. Number one, you brought in the greatest 80s director of all time to direct the film. The film felt like an 80s film. In fact, it felt so much like an 80s film that it was almost too happy at the end, if that makes sense. Although I did like the way they ended the film. There was an overabundance of 80s lore for a film that came out in the 20-teens. And on top of it, we have to remember that the Oasis is not an 80s fantasy land. The Oasis is whatever it needs to be for everybody else. So I kind of like that they modernized some of it a little bit. It borrowed heavily from the 80s, keeping in mind, too, that the stacks were pretty accurate from the book. And again, I think if they just killed it with 80s stuff, which I actually felt like they had a lot more 80s in it than you're giving it credit for. But if they killed it with that, you would have lost a huge audience. I could even make an argument right now, buddy, that there's an 80s resurgence because of that film. I think it brought a lot of things back to the forefront. But listen, this is what I'll tell you. The book and the movie are different things, right? In my opinion. And again, the second book is another conversation. But the book and the movie were different entities. I think they made good changes. Like in the first challenge, making that a race, I thought that was brilliant. That was a really great change, because in the book, it's not that at all, right? No. So it's actually a little more boring, and they skip over a lot of the stuff in school, just to help drive the film. Now, at the same time, this is going to kind of bring my point home. It doesn't always have to be like the book for me. I'll give you the greatest example of that in film history, where a film improved the book, which is very rare, with the film The Natural. All right. At the end of the film, Roy Hobbs hits that home run. And it is one of the greatest scenes in film history in a sports film in my mind. It's iconic. I literally wear number 9 on my hockey jersey because of Roy Hobbs. All right. Wow. And I'm going to spare you all reading the book, because in the book, he strikes out.
Yeah, it's Casey at the bat. It's Casey at the bat.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's a brutal ending in the book. And look, say what you will. I mean, there is some feelings associated with him striking out that like there's a lesson to be learned. But the magic that film created for me as a kid, also rated PG, was special. So I think Ready Player One I really love that film. There's more 80s in Ready Player One than any film since the 1980s.
And
I've gotten you right. That's it. Thanks for coming to the show today. We'll see you next time on the Geek Saga. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, buddy. I'm just joking.
no, I mean, like I said, I like what I watched.
Right.
It was pretty good. It was a pretty good movie. My daughter loves the movie.
Yeah, and that's who it was for, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it was meant for them, but
yeah.
that's just like, World War Z. I hated that movie.
Right.
Because if you read the book, it raised, the
World
book
War Z
was
was not great.
freaking amazing.
Yeah, I know.
They could have done.
Yeah.
They
But they
really
got
could
you
have
Brad
done that.
Pitt, man. And
I
hey,
don't need Brad
the
Pitt.
zombies
Nobody-
could run.
And we did. I don't want to be if I have to get injected with freaking herpes and all kinds of other stuff to get away from the zombies. I'm gonna take my chances with the freaking zombies.
I mean, it sounds like what they do with you in the military when you're going overseas. But anyway, look, this is what I would tell you. That's another thing. He knows what I'm talking about. We can't go into that. Yeah, no. But I'll say this too: is that yeah, look, I understand what you're saying. I just think it had to appeal to a large audience, and I think they did a great job with what they had, and I really enjoyed that film. I really did.
They did, and I know that Spielberg also said himself that he wished it could have been closer to the book, and it was a money issue more than anything. But it's kind of like
they couldn't secure all that.
Dude, if you would have taken a pay cut, then we probably could have had all that.
Hey, man, he's not in demand like he used to be. That might be his last big film.
Yeah, because I did see the last one that he put out. Oh my god, it was horrible.
He's not doing much anymore, right?
No.
And to be fair, the type of films that he makes are not in demand anymore.
No.
Right?
No.
It's. I mean, they'll never let him have a Marvel film. You know what I mean? So it's just, it is what it is. But I appreciate you engaging in that spirited conversation with me about the Oasis, Ready Player One, and Parsifal.
You should read Armada by the same.
I've already
author.
read it. Fantastic.
I have not
A little
read
bit of a quick ending. I won't
It
ruin
won't.
it. The book is really good, Ray, and the ending's not bad.
It's
But
not.
I remember
but it's
thinking
really-
like, oh wow, okay, that's where we're going with this.
it's definitely it's a lot better than Ready Player Two. So
I really enjoyed Armada. I plowed through that. It's a classic book though, where it kind of ends in the last 10 pages very abruptly.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad ending. It's just oh. I remember reading this like, oh, okay.
It does give you a Last Starfighter, almost like Starship Troopers feel to the
Easily.
book.
Yeah,
So
it
it's
was
a great
really,
book.
I really enjoyed that. Like, again, Ray, the premise real quick is that, and this doesn't spoil anything. The very quick premise is this main character is the greatest gamer for this kind of aerial combat game. And on Earth at this time, there's an aerial combat game and there's a ground combat game. And you find out that the military has basically been training these kids to fight real battles because there's a space battle coming.
Oh, like Call
Right?
of Duty.
It's very like that, yeah. And then, like pretty quickly in the book, it's like you've been recruited. You're the best player of all time. You come with us to the moon. It's kind of what it's like.
It's a Last Starfighter Ender game.
Hey, there's Nazis in it.
Yeah, it's great. Let's
There's
just do it.
There's Nazi stuff in it.
But if you are looking for a great book, the Dresden Files, read those.
I've heard about those. Yeah,
Those are great. Since we're talking about books and nerd books, that oh my god,
I need to
reading
finish
Shadow Vampires,
all about me. I'm reading All About Me right now, which is Mel Brooks' autobiography.
I have that too. It's funny as hell.
Yeah, I'm about almost halfway through. So
It's really funny. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's like he's speaking to you.
I love reading audiobooks, so I'll see if you got that.
I love listening to regular books. They don't make any sound. Like, and when there's no kids around and they're sleeping and there's no sound, it's quite nice. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna let you guys go now because since your house is
We're letting you go. Let's be honest. Let's just be honest. We're letting you go. Ray's like, let the man let us go. I'm hungry.
Hey,
it's dinner time out here.
Oh, I haven't had dinner yet either, and I'm looking at the time here now. I didn't. Yes. I will let you go. I'm going to shut up now. This is Lee signing off.
I haven't even had dinner myself. I kind of just jumped right in here. I was like, okay, well, I gotta do this. But guys, it was awesome to have you guys on. I mean, this has been fun. It really has been. And I'm going to listen to your show. I'm not just saying that and blowing smoke up your butts, but it really is something I'm listening to now and following you guys on Instagram. So guys, both guys, whichever one wants to go first, tell us where we can find you. And then we'll say where we can find your show.
Well, I'll go first and just say that the Phillies have won another game, and that's the perfect bookend to this entire show today. We won again.
The Yankees just won too.
They're not as good as the Phillies. The Phillies
I
won
got to check my Dodgers now. Look at that.
First pitch is probably just happening for the Dodgers.
I appreciate the shout out. Yeah, no, if you want to find me, it's at LEEMJELIAS, Liam J. Elias, across social media. But I'd love for you guys to all listen to our show, Geeks Who Like Sports. As Eugene said, look, we're trying to build that community too, and geeks stick together. And that's why I love going on different shows like that. And I'll let Ray tell everybody where they can find us with Geeks. But if you're a geek who likes sports, you will love us. And that is the point. We want you to be part of our community everywhere. Ray?
Yes. So GWLS Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, or Geeks Who Like Sports on Facebook, or obviously just search when you're if you're listening to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever else you get your podcasts, just Geeks Who Like Sports, and it will pop up our baseball logo that's behind over my right shoulder and Lee's right shoulder. As you can see there, you'll see it our geeky baseball with the microphone logo. And yeah, and I'm at Ray Carsillo. We're everywhere: TikTok, Twitch, YouTube. I have a bit of a baseball following, so you can also just yell at me because I'm always talking about my Yankees on TikTok. But yeah, there's the logo. It doesn't get there. You go.
Is it close enough? I do it.
I think I back it up just a smidge, smidge.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Geeks Who Like Sports. It is a light. Yeah, it is. Actually, I think mine lights up too. Actually, oh, it's not plugged in. Never mind.
Fancy.
So yeah. So I mean, we tried. It's not like your setup, dude. Your setup is pretty sweet too, Eugene. Like, don't sell yourself short, my friend. Like,
yeah. By the way, you might want to get checked for that radioactive poisoning. You look like you're in a pretty hot environment, though. I don't know if you have one of those Geiger counters or whatever they're called. It makes that creepy sound.
Well, I mean, with all the stuff that I've breathed in and I've been injected with,
it doesn't matter. You're immune.
I'm freaking Wolverine, dude. That's all I gotta say.
No, this is Wolverine. I've got him right here too. That's how you know this is a good show, because I literally had a Wolverine on standby just in case.
All I have right here is this. So,
all right, way to go, Ray. Just bring us back down.
That's right. I mean, look, I got Soundwave behind me. I've got Joust behind me. I've got the PlayStation behind me, and then I got this like wavy like rock.
And Joust was the first challenge in Ready Player One. Look at this all.
Yes, it was.
Yes, and that's how I got this. I actually won a Joust tournament. That's how I got that Joust poster. So,
really?
Yes.
How long ago was that?
That was about 10 years ago. It was Midway before Midway completely went under, or well. Actually, I think they had gone. They did a Midway Arcade Classic Collection, and then they did a press event here in LA, and they had like all the old classic arcade machines set up. And whoever finished the night with the high score on each machine got a poster themed after the machine. And yours truly still had the high score, set the high score in Joust. So,
nice.
Yeah, so I won that. And then that was from the folks over at High Moon when I did a cover story for them for EGM for Transformers Fall of Cybertron, which was the sequel, and they sent that over all signed by the team because they were very nice, and I had some friends over there, and so that they sent me some concept art, which I really appreciated. So
nice. Hey Ray, do you ever get to some of these new arcades that are popping up? Like I got out here is a place called Lost Level.
Not been to that one, no. I mean, there's a lot of barcades closing and popping up all around us. So I do try them as often as I can, but it's usually the same kind of cavalcade of machines, right? Like, again, we talked about it earlier, right? You get your Mortal Kombat, your Street Fighters, your X-Men, your Simpsons, your Turtles, so, yeah. And then beer's beer. So not always, but you know what I mean? Like popping quarters, beating up Foot Clan soldiers and drinking beers. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, the Lost Level out here, it's not a barcade. It's an arcade. It's like $10 for the hour. Play as much as you want, but they do have a really good restaurant next door. Which
that's like a place in Jersey called Yestercades. They do that as well. They have that as well, where it's like you pay $10 and you can play all the machines in the place for an hour as much as you want. So
Nice. All right. Well,
Geeks. God, you guys are geeks.
Ray, we got to go to one of those places and have dinner too. One time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I have a couch with an X-Men machine.
Well, yeah, and again, another shout out, Eugene. I got to give you credit. Part of the reason why what happened at Golden Apple was such a smooth and amazing day was because of you with all your equipment and helping everybody out. Really do want to say that again. Got to give you a shout out there. Give you your props. We've mentioned it a few times on our show, but now we're going to give you props on your own show. That the reason why Golden Apple, the podcast theater, was such a rousing success was because of you and donating your time and your equipment. And I think we all really appreciate it. So
I'm going to tell you guys right now, I was nervous as hell because you guys, like everybody that was coming in there has had like umpteen years of experience doing all this stuff. And I just came in and I was the kid of the group, which is a weird thing.
Hey, man, there's nothing wrong with that. Trust me.
Listen here, Sonny, you did a good job. You're going to keep doing a good job. And one day the radio's going to have pictures with it. You'll do that well, too.
Hey, I'm just glad you guys got great sound. That's what I was worried about. I was like, oh my God, is it going to sound
good? That's the last thing you got to worry about with us. We got good sound, just not good faces. You gotta deal with that.
Yes. Well, I mean, as I've heard my whole career, I have a face for radio and a voice for newspapers. So, yeah.
And as I've heard my whole career, shut up.
If you guys just want to hold on for 5 minutes, I'm going to close out the show and I'll just talk to you, really quick afterwards.
Yeah, and thanks to everybody that tuned in tonight. You guys were great. Appreciate the questions. Appreciate the support. Thank you so much for supporting our man Eugene here in his great show, The Geek Saga. It's fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, guys, I'll bring you back in just a second. But for now, that was great, guys. It was a lot of fun having them on. I'm still, now that I got Lee off this, Ready Player One still isn't that great. So there we go. I'm just going to leave it at that. See, I got the last word in on my show, but guys, definitely check them out at Geeks Who Like Sports. Go onto their Instagram. You know me and trying to break it down to an acronym because everything in the military is that way. I always mix it up. So just Geeks Who Like Sports, and you'll find them. Follow their podcast, listen to it. It's a lot of fun to listen to them. And you get your sports and then you get your geek stuff. So it's best of both worlds. And these guys are awesome. There's nothing bad. I can't say anything bad about them. Well, other than the teams that they like, but I still like them. So guys, that is it for us tonight. We went a lot longer than we normally have, which is great. It's always fun when we go longer because that means that we get more time with our guests and we get to talk and find out more about them, which we have. And so if you guys are looking for us again at the Geek Saga across Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, you'll find all the interviews. You'll find reels of, clips from the interviews and everything on all those places. And we will be back next week, 7:30, which is our normal time. And we have, what's next week? I know we have somebody coming on. We may be one week that we actually don't have somebody coming on, but it's been awesome having all these guests just back to back to back. Thank you to everybody that was on Instagram, from Darren to Esteban to Cindy, Lupe. We had Gene Freeman on there, which we love Gene. That dude's hilarious. I was hoping to see his brother pop in there too, but he might be mad because I didn't get him a shirt. But I will get you a shirt, Chris. I will, promise. Talk to your brother. Go steal one of his. And everybody else that supported us tonight. So, guys, again, next week we'll be back on our normal time and always on Wednesday. So, with that, guys, it's been wonderful. I've had a lot of fun. My face hurts from all the laughing that I've done tonight, so I got to go relax and go eat also. So, with that, as always, guys, the saga continues.